Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be discussing some of the various braking techniques you can use to advance your sim racing skills. Do note that some of these may take a bit of getting used to, so just be patient. Let's start with one of the most well-known ones, trail braking. Trail braking is the act of gradually releasing brake pressure as you approach a corner. This does two very important things. Firstly, the weight transfer is gentle, meaning the car won't suddenly snap out of control. Secondly, with the weight staying over the front axle for longer, it means the front wheels will have more turning grip under that additional load. However, as with anything, there is a downside. It's quite tricky to modulate correctly as a beginner, and if not done right, your braking zone might be extended to the gravel trap. Trail braking is especially useful when you're approaching a slow corner at high speed, as it helps settle the car and keep the weight transfer steady. A great example of where this can be applied is into the chase at Mount Panorama. As you approach at high speed, the braking is uphill and the left-hander is fairly tight. Trail braking allows the car to settle before you take that corner, meaning that you can get on the throttle sooner after the apex. Next up, cadence braking. Now, you may have never heard of this because it's not commonly needed, but it's essentially where you pump the brake pedal, locking and unlocking the tyres to quickly initiate weight transfer whilst keeping steering control. However, this will almost certainly increase your braking distance and, as you can imagine, it's fairly tricky to use effectively. This technique is commonly required in low grip situations such as slippery surface, but as you can imagine, trying it on a slippery surface doesn't always end well. What it does do, however, is give you a good feel for the grip available and the braking limit that you can achieve. Now to one that we all do but may not know what it is, threshold braking. This is essentially where you brake as hard as the car's grip limit will allow without locking the wheels. This of course is the most efficient way of braking, and it will help you decelerate at the quickest possible rate. However, it's almost impossible to sustain because grip limits are forever changing. Different surfaces, wearing tyres, different setup, the list goes on. So it's better to go to 90% and ensure the wheels don't lock up. One of the safest bets using threshold braking is a long straight into a hairpin, as the only thing you need to do is scrub off speed as quickly as possible. But if it's a slightly tricky approach to a corner, then threshold is not really the route that you want to be going. Now, progressive braking is where you gradually apply pressure until you can't anymore. This is particularly useful when your approach and braking zone into a corner is not exactly straight. This allows you to slow the car down with a slow weight transfer that won't throw the balance of the car out the window and makes the car very predictable. As with others, there are drawbacks, chief among which is the fact that doing this effectively is tricky, as it will usually increase the braking distance. Knowing the rate that you can apply brake pressure for progressive braking is a skill that you can only learn by doing. One you probably won't ever have to consider in circuit racing is brake drift. This is where you pump the brake a few times and then go to full pressure. This essentially pushes the car to go sideways by violently transferring weight until the car loses balance. This is very useful for rallying, drifting, and maybe even dirt ovals if you do it right, but it's tricky to do effectively. Now, I like my grippy tarmac surfaces, so let's continue with those. Finally, we have coasting. Any F1 fan will be familiar with the old lift and coast technique. This is where you lift off the throttle and let the car roll for a short period of time before braking. This helps preserve the tyres and fuel, plus it settles the car into the braking zone. However, like other techniques that settle a car towards the corner, if not done correctly, it usually means that you lose time on corner entry by elongating the approach. This is more a technique for long races where you're just in damage limitation mode. If you're doing hot laps, then coasting really is not the best approach for you. Each of these techniques that we've spoken about has their place in sim racing. Knowing how to use each of them effectively is crucial if you want to compete with the best of drivers around the world. Of course, you can always steal some of their tips by using Track Titan to not only analyse your own data, but see how your rivals are using these techniques and apply it to your own driving. So the more techniques you try, the more you understand when and where to use them. That's all from us today. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing too. It really does make a difference. But as always, we'll see you next time and race with respect.